What's up? It's your boy Karceno here. Let's speak on it right quick, because I think it needs to be said. There are many different people in the universe, right? And they all have their own perceptions. And that's cool. That's fine. Ryan Clark has made a pretty much career, in his second career, of being this, life coach of guidance and wisdom. And it seems pretty, original. And at first glance, it seems authentic, in other words. But if you start to peel back the layers, you start to see that it's kind of a mask. It's kind of a mask that he's using to cover up what he really wants to do. Because he seems like he really wants to be that guy. He wants to be this life coach guy who gives positive reinforcement, positive answers. And then that other side comes out. The true intentions guy. And when the true intentions guy comes out, then you start to see what it's really like when you look under the hood. For instance, we saw this man take how many dramatic approaches towards a lot of different situations. RG3, now it's Cam, and we see that the Ryan Clark on ESPN is slightly different from the Ryan Clark outside of ESPN. Well, naturally, right? You're going to be more different than you are at your job. But when he's on his job, we don't get that same degree of respect that he likes to pay and attribute to, other people. Now, the things he said about Cam Newton on the show, he went personal on the show, and I said it was personal. And I was like, well, I can see you going personal because he's basically making a case of saying he's not a top 10 quarterback, but he's not basing it off of the actual stats or QBR or anything. He's basing it off of the fact of personal. He knows people compares Jalen Hurts to him. He sees Jalen Hurts wearing the number 1. He see him doing all these things and getting all this attention, and Cam still believes that he can still play in the NFL himself. But no team wanted him. That kind of burns a little bit. So I understood what Cam was saying. It wasn't that you were wrong, Ryan, but then you went back and want to apologize on a small scale. So you're doing what Stephen A. Smith do. You throw rocks on the big stage, then you go on the smaller stage, it's your own personal platform or whatever, or you go on somebody else's show and issue out an apology. And then if you ever run into that person, be like, yo, I apologize. Yes, I'm not very happy with the way that Ryan Clark handled the situation when he interviewed Kwame Brown. I was very surprised, like they did some editing, some touch-up stuff, but not Kwame Brown, but when he interviewed Gilbert Arenas, I was not happy with that because he brought up Kwame Brown into the interview. He could have interviewed Gil 1,000 times. But this man sat there with us after the interview. I did not ask to be on that panel. KB said, can you be on the panel with us? I said, yeah, sure. I'll make time for it. And that's how that happened. So I didn't ask to be on the panel. He said, hey, I want you on the panel with me. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And that's how that happened. Because a lot of people are like, yeah, you begged to be up there so you could talk to Ryan Clark. I was talking about the actual situation. So when I spoke to Ryan Clark and we were speaking to him, what did he say? I wouldn't even have a conversation with Gilbert Arenas based on a situation that had nothing to do with us. Because he became a victim of Gilbert Arenas' antics and pranks, and him deleting out messages and responses, trying to make text messages look like something that they're not, and how they were actually said. So it caused drama. And, Ryan Clark is like, that's the kind of guy I don't even want to deal with. I wouldn't even deal with him. He said this. It's on YouTube. We got it on YouTube. You've seen it. And to go on the show and to bring up Kwame Brown's name and says, I got to bring up Kwame Brown. Why did you have to bring up Kwame Brown with Gilbert Arenas for? When Kwame was on your show, he said, I don't want to talk about this guy. But you wanted him there to talk about this. So what was you really there to do? To get his story, or to try to go into the background of social media and all of this, the back and forth beef stuff that you claim, Mr. Life Coach, that you're above. So you got to make it make sense. Make it make sense. I was disappointed, to say the least. I was very disappointed in the way that they handled it, My thing is this: if you're going to be one of those guys, right, one of the guys, the elites, you got to be able to represent yourself and be authentic. It's like, who are you really, dog? Are you an a-hole? Because it seems like that's what you really are, and you're trying to mask it with this new life coach thing. You don't gotta like everybody, dog. But you don't have to try to deceive and act like you're the smartest guy in the room because you're putting words in the proper place and context and you're searching for words. I'm like, look, I'm not on television. You could talk to us. This guy who you pretending to be, you trying to be like Creflo Dollar or somebody. With the RC initial on you, and now you want to come out here and tell us what Cam was. You throw the rock on the big stage, and then on the small stage, here you come with I want to tell you what Cam Newton is. Cam Newton was the guy that won a national championship. Cam Newton did this. Cam Newton did that. I can't take away from Cam Newton. Why you didn't do that on your show? Why you didn't do that on that platform? You went there and belittled him and called him a Marvel. You went from Marvels to DC Universe to Avengers. You went all over the board to embarrass a black man in front of two white men. You were sandwiched in by two white guys, and you in there tearing this black man down. then your show is all about positivity. The Pivot Podcast, which is a show I like. Y'all had the most real interviews on there. Like 3 of them. I felt that if people wanted to take certain routes, they could. You know, if you want to take certain liberties to do certain acts, that's on you. You know, no one can tell you how to live, but damn, dog. For real, Ryan Clark, that's where we at with it. I just thought we were better than that. I really did. Now I see we're not better than that. What I'm starting to see is that a lot of people are making decisions based on agendas. They're making them based on realities that are not, you know, ideal. Now, I can't judge your character because I don't really know you that well, but based off what I can see, how you presented yourself on the internet with us, the way you handled yourself in that Pivot Podcast interview with Gilbert Arenas, bringing up Kwame Brown's name and telling Gil he's won. I'm like, won in what? And doing that live and not even having the courtesy to say, Kwame, man, my bad. You know, you could have texted him. You could have said anything. You didn't do any of it. It's completely disrespectful. That was completely disrespectful on all levels, all terms. Well, when you start putting all this together and you come up with 1 + 1 is 2, and you act like you discovered fire, buddy, you're not doing anything new under the sun. Everything you've doing and talking about has been done. Okay? So your Cam Newton breakdown, an assessment of trying to rip Cam down, is Jalen Hurts better than Cam as a quarterback? Do you think so? I say Cam was a better passer than Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is more coachable than Cam Newton. Cam was a better passer than people gave him credit for. It's just that instead of trying to fix some of his dynamical flaws, his arrogance got in the way and saying, please, I threw for 3,000 yards. Are you trying to teach me how to be better? You know, that kind of mentality, it kind of derailed everything that was going on with him. I mean, as disgusting as it sounds, you never want to be that guy. You never want to be that guy, right? You don't want to be the guy that basically you owe or they owe you. You don't want to be that guy that's bitter and holding on. Oh, they owe me. Oh, they got to pay me. You don't want to be that guy. It's like, dog, that little bit of money is enough to throw you off, then you don't need it. Thank you. Hit the like button, good people. Down here in Florida, getting it in. Sun starting to rise. Oh, yes, sir. I promise you it do. They got Fat Burger out here in Tampa. Look at that. Fat Burger. Well, we stay in the bougie suburban part of Tampa. We not in the heart of Tampa, Florida. The way I think is entirely different than probably how a lot of other people think. So, I'll just leave that right there. And as for everyone else, well, the line forms to the left. Of course, I remember Ryan Clark as a football player. You know, I like the Steelers. I like that team, period. You know, I was in the AFC, Steelers. We used to root for them. Because them, the Bears, they were like the last of the real teams. You know, like they were owned by the steel mills. And the Packers, Steelers, Bears, you know, those were like the traditional teams. Grit. So, Ryan Clark to be an undrafted player, you know, to come in to the NFL and to be able to be so small and make such an impact. Like when Ryan Clark would knock you completely out cold. I'm not joking. That little dude packed a punch. So he stood out by the way he played. His game dictated that. And he played tough. He was nothing soft about Ryan Clark, the way he played. So there are so many different realities like that's forming. And California is such a weird place that these people run into each other and they'll be talking crazy about each other on the internet, right? Run into each other and they don't even have a conversation. They just like ignore each other. It's the weirdest vibe ever. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, dog, if we got a problem as men, let's talk about it. Other than that, why are we doing this? You know what I'm saying? Why are we doing this? No, when people are not on your level mentally, you just don't really think about it that way. But for Ryan Clark to do that, You know, because I suggested to KB that he should go on the Pivot podcast. Out of all of them, I was like, if you're going to do one, do the Pivot podcast. We was watching a Pivot podcast episode because I sent it to him, and I was like, this is the best one they done did. It was the Malik Beasley one. And he saw the way they did that. It's like, he's like, that's how I would want my interview to go. Like that. So instead of going on All Athlete or whatever, I Am Athlete, like Kwame can go on anything he chooses. But he chose Ryan Clark in the Pivot podcast. And of course it was like an instant success. And he didn't have to disrespect anybody. You know, that's what they wanted. They wanted to see the mad, angry Kwame. You know, that's going to draw up the numbers. He ain't mad at nobody at that time. You know, he's just like, look, I want to tell my story. I want to tell the people, talk to the people. And y'all get to hear, I'm not crazy. I'm not a danger. I'm not a threat. I'm not any of these things that they label. You see? This is how adults think. People who really live life, they don't just be online. They just don't have a character online and exist online. You know, them people that always wanted to be a somebody and never was, and now they on the internet, they done created a whole new life for themselves. And that's fine. But I understand those people. They've never been around any of this. So I've been surrounded by it for years, so I'm so used to it. World championship fighters, professional athletes, actors, entertainers. Been around them all before there was even a YouTube. So for me, it's like, okay, it's another day. Hey, how you doing, sir? It's good to meet you. You ready to get out there and work or whatever? Do what you got to do. I'm calm as a cucumber. Some people, they freak out when they be like, dude, you know what it is? He's right here, dude. He's right here. I don't know what to do. It's like, relax. He's a dude. He's human. Just think of him like your cousin Jimmy. So, some people, it's just never gonna be enough. You know, for everybody else, it's gonna be a problem. The Clarissa Shields fight, I saw the Clarissa Shields fight. It was the other girl, she did what she could, I guess. I don't know what her strategy was, but she was running around the ring and Clarissa Shields caught up with her. And whenever she slowed down, them body shots slowed her. And she's running off them combinations. I mean, it's hard because, I mean, who she's really fighting in her division. So a fight with that Ali fight ain't happening. You know, Netflix said they would pay $15 million, and if Layla Ali don't want to do that because look, she ain't fought in I don't know how long, and she's not about taking it down. Okay, she would have fought Ann Wolf if that was the case, and she wanted no smoke with Ann Wolf. Layla's bigger than Clarissa Shields. So there's a lot more she could do physically, but her movements and things of that nature. I don't think Layla Ali is a bigger puncher, but she's heavier. Like, she got a lot of heaviness on her punches. So I don't know. I mean, it depends, what's gonna happen, but the way I see it, it's a little different. As for me, I see a couple of people making like decisions or mistakes, if you want to call them that, in the same breath. They just keep making the same old mistakes. I don't hate Ryan Clark. Don't start like there's a hate for Ryan Clark. It's a disappointment when it comes to Ryan Clark. I'm just like, dude, like, who are you really? I tried to reach out to him as a man. Yeah, I was disappointed in him. I lost a lot of respect for him when he did that. So then you start to see a lot of double talk. You start to see a lot of saying things on television and apologizing on his personal platform. It's suited for that type of behavior. Now, when it comes to me, I'm a different hombre, Yeah, I move the way I feel I need to move in certain situations, Other people might not see it that way, but I do. Yeah, well, it is what it is sometimes. You get some people that are so headstrong about making changes, decisions, and things modifications and growth. Other people just want to see other people fail. It's just the reality of it. You have some people that's determined for people to fail just so they have a story. Yeah, they talking about we don't talk about positivity. You don't talk about nobody positive. You just put down black people. Yeah, I got one crack news where I promoted black excellence. On the Patreon, we're promoting black excellence. Black people in tech doing whatever. All genres, businesses, all of it. I'm doing the job that other people are supposed to be doing. So, yeah. I do. Now, have I neglected to do some things? No, because it's only 24 hours in a day. So it's only so many miracles one can work at one time. So, that's not even the place. Okay. The way I look at it is, kind of strange, because it's really not a big of a deal. I'm just saying I'm disappointed in him, because if you're going to do that, right, if you going, I'm not saying that him and Gil probably didn't have a conversation and straighten the whole thing out. That's cool. But if you're going to bring up Kwame Brown's name on your show with him, you don't do it like that. You would definitely hit him up, say, hey, man, I talked to Gil, I'm finna interview him and everything. We worked everything out, so I'm just giving you a heads up. So I'm going to ask him some questions about you and blah, 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 blah. That's the courtesy that what I'm talking about. To being the type of human being that you claim to be, Ryan Clark, that's what you should have done. Should have done it that way. Proper etiquette. That's what it's called. Proper etiquette. Because believe me, if you'd have did that to any other person, right, who trusted you with an interview, let's say Michael Jordan entrusted you with an interview, right, that did well for you. Then you go on Jordan's platform. Jordan tell you about what this certain individual was doing to them. Go. You got it. All right. So they tell you what this certain individual is doing. And you turn around. In your infinite wisdom, turn around and say, I don't know what's going on. Really? Now you confused? You don't know what's happening? Alright. Everybody want to play dumb. You go up there and interview somebody and you ask him about Michael Jordan, and knowing this person's been messing with Mike and Mike is not happy about it, and you go out there after he entrusted you with an interview, what would you think MJ would do in that situation? He would be spiteful. He would do something. Nah. MJ would be like, I'm no more Jordan brand. Nope, taking the Jordan brand away, and there's gonna be none of my athletes gonna be on that show. Like, they gonna pull a lot of sponsorships, pulling out. MJ would do, him, LeBron, all them, they would do some different activity. KB just like, whatever, I'm not gonna talk to him. So he's just like, I know who he is now. This is what it is. So I'm the one that's really like, nah, that ain't right. So I'm calling it out. Because it is what it is. You didn't give him the proper etiquette that you should have. And you have to be called out on it. You don't get to just say, I'm going to ignore it and go ahead and do my thing. Right is right and wrong is wrong. None of these dudes is real. They all want something in exchange. That's it. They all want something in exchange. But they'll figure it out one day. One day, hopefully. We could hope for that. That's a damn red-nosed Doberman. They have weird tasting dogs out here. You know, I never expect that little bitty person with a red-nosed Doberman. So I'm up out of here. Shouts out to Kwame Brown, Bus Life, 78 Sports TV, my Patreon, Karceno for life. Go over there, become a member, sign up, because July 29th gonna be hot. Trust me. It's gonna be hot for the Patreon. Guarantee it. So definitely do that. I want to say shouts out to everybody out there that's been keeping it real. Blood boxing, been doing this thing. Everybody out there, man, who've been representing, doing it the right way, you know? Let's continue to do that. And GQ Cino is back home.